Hello, guys. Welcome back to SWS Boxing. Delighted to get on pro boxer Tobie Vermeire. He's currently had 3 fights with 2 defeats with 1 draw. He's back out fighting Aness Taj in at August 17th over 6 rounds. Yes, how are you, mate? And thank you for coming on.
I'm all good, mate. I'm all good. Thanks for having me as well. It's yeah, long awaited, but yeah, we're here.
Yes, mate. Um, my first question for you is what yeah, how did you sort of get into the sport of boxing?
I was really overweight. I was 26 stone, feeling a bit down, not quite with myself, and I needed something to get myself into boxing and well, change my life. So picked boxing, decided I wanted to be a professional boxer. Come from a white collar background where I had a few charity bouts basically when I was very unfit and very big.
How many
And
fights did you have in white collar?
I had four in white collar. Done well in white collar. My record was a lot better than it was in the amateurs and pros. And then went as I lost the weight. Competed as an amateur, at super heavyweight. Done okay. Had fought in the away corner a lot. Silver medalist in the whole box cup. Fought internationally in Sweden in the King of the Ring. I went there with an injury. I just had my arm rebuilt, so it was more so going there for the experience. Wasn't expecting to win much, but lost in the semi-final to the guy that won it. So yeah, it was all good. And then yeah, and then turned professional. In first bout was October against Ryan LeBourne
And
and
it
my
was a
pro debut.
draw.
Yeah, it was a draw. Yeah, there's a lot of nerves going into it, and Ryan's a very crafty southpaw, as you probably know as well. Although his record deceives a lot of people, if he only gets hurt by the big lads, really. And I'm not a big lad. I'm actually a bit smaller than him. but
I
but
saw
yeah,
him on Friday actually. He's a good guy, isn't he, Ryan?
he's a lovely, lovely bloke as well. I'd say boxing, you find friends as well as competition, and I'd say although we shared the ring and we got the draw, he's now a friend of mine, and I have a lot of respect for him. And
Do you agree with the draw?
um, yeah, yeah. I'd say there's points where he was getting the better of me. He was doing things to me which I never experienced in the amateurs. He was holding me well and kind of and manhandling me well and stopping me getting my work clean. Found out that we were both actually nursing injuries in that fight as well, which is quite funny. So we were both a bit timid. I had a bruised hip bone, and he had I think he had a broken rib or something. So that was quite funny that we were both fighting on injuries and a bit sheepish with it. So yeah, but it was good. I enjoyed it, and then obviously I went straight from that to hard fights. So yeah, it's been a different story since then. I haven't gone down the conventional route
But
of a
but
lot.
talk about yeah, of course it was 39-39. That probably means it's a bit rare you see a 39-39, isn't it? Because it was what, 1 round each with 2 rounds equal or
Yeah, so that's the thing. There was a lot of it really
tight
depended.
rounds.
Yeah, it was very much. I'd say I won the last round, and I'd say the first 3 rounds are equal. And then obviously, I'd say he pinched the second round. I think it was. So then the first and I think the third were relatively equal, and I had to, I must admit I thought I was losing going into last round. So a lot of the nerves got into me, and although I've had a lot of
You
southpaw
dug
sparring,
deep in that last round, didn't you?
yeah, I had a lot of southpaw sparring going up to it, but none of them were as tricky as him. Um, a lot of people look at his record and don't realize actually how good he is. He's fighting. If he could do very very well if you went down to if you're down to light heavyweight, he'd be area champion at least. He's a very very good boxer, and obviously he won. I think he won the developments at 86 or at like 81 or something in the amateurs. And let's be honest, you don't win stuff like that nationally if you're not a good boxer. And yeah, as I said, he's a good boxer. I had to dig very deep to win. I had to get the draw, and then yeah. as I said, it was you don't really want to draw on your debut, but
Better than defeat.
better than losing, isn't it? Yeah, a lot of and then looking forward, and then you look at a lot of lads' records. A lot of people lose against what they'd call journeymen in their first bouts. It's quite common, especially when you haven't got a big pedigree like myself. I haven't spent my whole life boxing or my whole life in the amateurs. So yeah, I was looking back at it. Obviously, I was a bit disappointed at the time, but it could have been worse, couldn't it?
Yeah, 100%, mate. And then you fought at the Brentwood Centre, on the top tier show, and you was co-main event, mate,
Yeah, it
against
takes a.
William Hamilton.
It's quite interesting, isn't it? You look back at it, and how many lads from my background on their second fight end up being a co-main event of a show like that.
And a 50-50, especially after like drawing your fight beforehand.
Exactly, and don't
You
get me
took,
wrong, Will
would you say you
Hamilton,
took a bit of a risk, sort of a gamble in a way?
yeah, massive risk. But at the end of the day, that's what boxing's for. Like, if I this is the common sort of thing, and I'm not here to build an ego. I don't box because I want my mates to think I'm hard. I box because I want to have experiences. And what other experience is there than going out and fighting on cards like that with great promoters like Johnny? He's
Top
puts on a
show,
hell
isn't
of
it?
amazing show, and like the hospitality and everything was
And the
fantastic.
whole media days and stuff, it makes you feel like you're fighting on the TV sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly. And well, it was televised on Sky 186. So
Yeah, that was
I've
it.
got quite a big following really, and a lot of people are interested in my career. So it was nice to have it on a big platform which could broadcast it worldwide. So I had people all around the world watching me fight. My fan base isn't well, it's not really based on my ability to box. It's based on my story, and people around the world could watch me fight and watch me get filled in by Will. So it was quite fun, really. But yeah, I the
So
one
talk
thing I
about the fight, like talk us through it.
so we took the fight. We knew Will was dangerous. His record speaks volumes. He's in the amateurs. He was knocking everyone out for fun. In the amateurs, I never got knocked out. I never had any stoppages. Well, I never got knocked out myself,
Yeah.
and I never had any standing counts. I never got dropped. Nothing. So I've got a good chin. And we fancied it basically. We fancied it. We thought we could give it a go, and the first couple of rounds was to basically just be on the back foot and just feel him out, feel him out, feel him out. And he caught me with a couple of blows, and I thought, oh, he's got a little bit of power. And then the end of that first round, I thought to myself, let's stand and trade, because there's a couple of occasions where he was throwing, and I was able to just counter and catch him with a counter. And I
You had
thought, oh,
good success in that first round a little bit as well.
yeah, exactly. As you can see, I'm quite rangy as well with the jab, especially with lads the same sort of height as me. And I thought to myself,
Yeah.
let's try and catch him. And I think he read that, and next thing you know, I was on the floor. I was on the floor, and
What
I
was
was
going
trying.
through your mind, of course, how tough was it, getting dropped for the first time? Was that, tough mentally, and what was you thinking when you was like getting back up?
See, I don't take myself too seriously, so um, I got dropped to the floor, and I knew it's a possibility, especially when you're in with people as good as Will. Will is fantastic.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
um, I've boxed and I've sparred a lot of good lads already, and Will is like power wise is unbelievable. Like, he's not paying me to say this, and I speak to Will on the odd occasion now, but like I would say I've never been hit as hard as I was by that one blow that put me on the floor. And it wasn't a clean shot. And it was very much like, wow, this guy can hit. And I looked into my corner and I thought to myself, I'm not making that mistake again. Like, I'm not doing that, because I that was the first time in that first round I didn't listen to my corner. and I learned the hard way. Remember, I'm learning on the job here,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
compared to a lot of lads, and I learned a lot from that drop pitch. That I was like, I should have listened because they were telling me to move. All I heard was move, move, and that's what we were doing that first one. We're moving and moving and moving.
Do you think that's what, and then when he dropped you, he sort of, jumped on you and that forced the stoppage in that second round. He thought, he looked at you, thought you was hurt and, jumped on it. Do you feel like, you switched off for 1 second and that, cost you the fight and, cost you one mistake
Yeah,
in boxing switches the fight?
yeah, yeah, exactly. And the thing is, though, when we was in the corner, I was with Richard Farnan, who's very, very experienced cornerman,
Yeah.
and Claudia. So my corner team for that fight are fantastic, and Richard's my manager as well. I've got a lot of respect for those guys.
Mm,
They do a lot for me, and they do a lot for boxing as well.
yeah.
And I said to them in the corner, I was like, I was getting some success that round. I was like, I want to try and get back to it. I want to try and get back to what I was doing, like moving, catching with the jab, moving, occasional counter. And I said, look, just let me out for this round. Let me out. Let me try and reestablish myself. I I stood up, and as I stood up, my legs were like jelly, and my head went a bit fuzzy, and I was like, wasn't a good idea. And then lo and behold, I'm going in. I'm like, let's get the focus back. Let's get moving. And then I just realised my timing had gone completely, and my reactions, and yeah, then
You
the ref
hadn't
saved
recovered
me,
really from
and
that
my
shot.
corner saved me, and you know, thank you very much, and that's what they're there for. You know, boxing is entertainment, and
Do you
I
agree
wish
with that? The stoppage?
absolutely, absolutely. My corner knew what we agreed. If as soon as I take one heavy shot, then yeah, let's cut that because my head wasn't 100%, especially as I stood up, and I appreciate it. Don't get me wrong, it's upsetting, but I've got a family to think of, mate. You know, I want to come home to my family. If I died on my sword there, what am I getting from it? Not a great deal. So,
Live to
you
fight
know,
another day.
exactly, mate, exactly. And that's exactly what we've done. And there's no there's no bad there's nothing bad by getting stopped by Will. Like I went in there, I took a 50-50, a big step up in class, last, with a guy that could bang. And, you know, yeah, I tried my luck and I paid the price. But as I said earlier on, I learned a lot from that. I learned a lot from that 3 minutes and 30 seconds in the ring, or however long it took him to get me out. So
Mm. Yeah, and then you fought in April. Was it how many notice did you get? Because that was short notice that fight against Bomber Brown, wasn't it?
24 hours, well, not even that really. I got the phone call at about 2 o'clock the day before. I'd been out the ring I've been out the gym for about 2 weeks because I was nursing a couple of injuries, and we decided that it needed time rather than rehabilitation. So I was out the gym, and I was tucking into some chicken and chips on my lunch break at work, and then after I'd finished that, the phone rang, and we were the only person that could fight a heavyweight that was available in the UK, and it was too late for a broad opponent for him, and they basically was the only option for him to be able to fight. So yeah, we basically done a favour for him really, which yeah didn't end up too well for me. So
Yeah, of course, yeah. I mean, not even 24 hours under 24 hours. And you went up to Liverpool and
yeah,
you boxed on Box Nation.
exactly, mate. And again, this is the whole thing.
Another
Like
big platform as well that you
yeah,
boxed on.
yeah.
So
So
you're getting these in, aren't you, mate? These big platforms,
exactly, and
which is
it's
good.
it, yeah, exactly. I fight on the big platforms, mate, and I enjoy it. And it's for me, it's about the story. It's not about. I don't want to spend my whole career fighting in little leisure centres in front of 10 people. Like I want to go out and fight on these platforms where it's a show, give everyone value for money. So that's kind of what I do really. And obviously going up there, getting a call. Freddie Warren and the team with their hospitality again was fantastic, and I really appreciate it. Was very very welcomed up there, and even though what happened happened,
The commentary were a bit confused on. There was a whole situation saying about, I forgot what they were saying, but they're saying it shouldn't. There was something that they weren't meant. Apparently, Bombers team were like they're not gonna. I can't remember, but there was something was got said on commentary about.
yeah, I think if you watch back his post fight interview, he explains it a little bit, and explains his attitude towards it. Let's just say that. So yeah, um, yeah, you
And that
do.
was heavyweight, wasn't it? Him.
Yeah, yeah. So, and obviously, I've been out of the ring, well, out of the gym for a few weeks. So, I went in unfit. I went in there just to kind of give him the rounds, really, because that's what he wanted was the rounds, and didn't seem like it because he tried taking me out from the first bell. Um,
You
luckily,
survived an early onslaught because he tried to put it on you from, well, from
yeah,
the first bell, and you survived, that first round with the early onslaught. I mean, you was moving quite well.
I was lucky, really. Got like, well, as you could probably see there. Bearing in mind I was unfit, I was
Yeah, I
very
mean, you got
flabby.
tagged with a few, but you seemed in that first round to be taking it quite well.
Yeah, yeah. Like my defense is quite good, and I again pride myself in that. Obviously, and that explains why I didn't get stopped or have any standing counts or anything in the amateurs. Like I can defend myself quite well. I was quite lucky that his punches weren't. There wasn't the spite or the spark in them that the likes of Will had. You know, they're very big clubby shots, which you get a lot in heavyweight. You get more clubbing shots
Yeah.
rather than ones that are gonna send you to the moon, so to say. And so they're easy to defend. And I'm not sure if you noticed, like he, his pattern of punches, I was able to read it because they were slower than what I'm used to.
Who
17,
who
18
would you
years old.
say? Sorry to interrupt. Who would you say hit harder, Bomber or Will?
Will, 100% will. I've been hit harder in the amateurs, and I got hit harder in sparring a few weeks before that. So before the Will's fight with Will. So I wouldn't say that he was hitting me hard. Don't get me wrong, he's fit. Like he's on me. He didn't give me any time to breathe in there. He was on me like, and for a heavyweight, he can punch in volume.
Mm.
But that single explosive killer punch, I Will has that. Jack Bannister, who are sparring for the on the lead up to fighting Will, Jack has that. There's a lot of other lads. There's a lot of amateurs that have that as well that I fought. Lad called Harry Smith from Birmingham. He
Hmm.
has that. Like he's the only lad that hurt me in the amateurs that really hurt me. But he didn't. He didn't. I didn't get a standing count or drops or anything. But he hurt me. So I felt those. I felt those really spiteful shots before, and I didn't feel that with him. Obviously, the shot that kind of waved it off with the ref was where he's kind of just, he's just caught me with the right hand. It's just hit the neck, hands go up, and I just slumped onto the ropes. And it's one of them. Like, was I enjoying it in there? A little bit. Was it probably going to wear thin a little bit? It probably was. So, I thanked the ref afterwards, actually. I thanked him for stopping it because at the end of the day, like I said earlier on, I got a family to come home to. So, um, the ref and my corner there to keep me safe. And that's exactly what they've done again. So, credit to them, credit to British Boxing Board of Control, and credit to my corner because I went home. I went to the hotel, had a curry, sat with my team for a bit, went to bed, woke up, and come home to my family the next day. So, and that's what it's about. Boxing's entertainment. Is we don't want to see anyone get really badly hurt. We don't want to see anyone get killed. Because we're all people with families and some with children that love us. So let's keep it that way and keep it. At the same time, let's keep the fans entertained.
Mm.
Let's make these fights which make things entertaining. And this is why we go on to Aness Taj, third hard fight in a row.
But before we get on to that one, I just want to mention the shorts that you wear. There's sort of a double decker sort of colours. Is your favourite chocolate bar a double decker by any chance?
It was, yeah. I can't eat them anymore because there's one of the ingredients in them I can't eat. But yeah, they are. And if you're
You
at my
need a
show,
sponsorship, mate, of Double Decker.
yeah, Cadbury's are a bit harsh. They haven't sponsored me yet. But if you come down to Llanelli, there'll be a little treat on fight night as well, double decker inspired. So don't you worry about that. If you can get down, you might like it.
You should get a double decker mascot walking out behind you.
Yeah, I could ask Richard if he would wear it, but it was bad enough getting him to wear a t-shirt with burgers and pizzas on it for when I fought William. So
But yeah, as you mentioned there a minute ago, Aness Taj, and yeah, you've got a very long camp for this. This is in August, and
yeah,
Aness Taj, of course, 7-5. Um, being boxing Vidal Riley, which I can imagine you've watched. Oh yeah, he's a good operator, is Aness, and I know you know that, and you just want to fight the best, and Nice does as well. Wants to be in there with good fights, and this is a good fights, and so yeah, Celtic bragging rights with Wales and Scotland. So a bit of yeah, sort of bragging rights in a way.
yeah. There's been a bit of backward and forward about it, but it's all love and respect, really. Anise, I've got a lot of respect for Anise.
Yeah.
He's taken the hard fights and he's taken them again. He fought Vidal twice, and we all know how good Vidal is. Um, and I remember when I was fat watching Anise fight, and admiring him, for being a warrior.
Oh, so you
Now,
used to watch him as well before you were a pro.
uh, yeah, and Will Hamilton. I remember watching Will when I was big and fat and on the sofa eating chocolate. This is the whole thing. I'm fighting people that I used to admire. I'm fighting my heroes. It's mad, isn't it, really, when you think about it?
It's
So,
mad. I mean, a few years ago, you would have laughed if somebody said you're going to be fighting that person in a few years' time.
yeah, exactly. I would have thought it'd been in a pub car park, not in a boxing ring. So, yeah, it's amazing. And, I'm sharing the ring with him. Don't get me wrong. Doesn't mean that I'm going to bend over and let him beat me. I'm going there to win because there's a lot riding on it. So, um, there's a lot riding on for both. If he loses to me, it's disastrous. If I lose to him, then it's 12 weeks wasted. So, but
Are you
yeah,
going to have a fight in between this if the phone rings, or is it just these next 12 weeks zoned in on this fight?
there's a tune up on the cards. There's a tune
Do
up on the
you
cards.
know when, or is that just you can't say as of yet?
It's to be confirmed, mate. It's to be confirmed. But
When
yeah,
would that
they're
be? What, June, July, or?
probably end of June, start of July, I'd say. But the thing is, though, that's almost going to be treated like a hard sparring camp. I'd say. Don't get me wrong, it's going to be a competitive fight,
Yeah.
but the camp isn't going to stop after that. It's basically that fight is part of camp for this fight.
Okay,
Um,
two camps into
funny if,
one.
yeah, funny if the reason why I'm shaking is I've got a thing on my legs actually, which like makes the blood flow and stuff, and so this is why I'm kind of shaking a little bit on the camera. So, but yeah, camp started. Doing a lot of running, getting myself ready. Just getting everything in motion. But today was the last day really of spending a good time with my family before they don't really see me much for 3 months because this is a sacrifice you have to make, especially working full time as well. Um, I get to the gym in the morning, I work, I go for a run on my lunch break, I work, and then I come home late, normally 10 o'clock at half 10, 11 o'clock at night. Go to bed, wake up, go again, and
Repeat, yeah.
that's the life in camp. It's mentally tough, and for 12 weeks it's going to be very very hard. But I guarantee by the end of that 12 weeks I'm going to be in the shape of my life. I'll give the best account of myself in this fight.
What do you make
Um,
of Anise as an opponent? Of course, last time out he lost on a local show in Tolworth, even though I thought he got robbed and he put on quite a decent boxing display. But are you expecting a sort of him to come out like he used to, the sort of brawler that he tends to come out? What you sort of expecting from him?
um, well, even in the fights I've had, I haven't really given much away. Um, he isn't really going to know what's going to come to him, and I've seen him fight. He can brawl. He can box a little bit.
Are you
He's
gonna brawl with the brawler, or see how you
we'll,
get in?
we'll see, mate. We'll see.
I'm looking forward to this fight. Should be a
I,
good
I I
one.
I love a tear up. Don't get me wrong, but I want to win this. Like that for me, the bragging rights is the win, not who's got the hardest chin. And I want to win this fight. As I said, there's a lot riding on it. Battle of the Celts and stuff.
Is
Um,
a headline fight, do you know, or not as of yet?
um, I think it's to be confirmed, but I think what's in the pipeline, it could headline a fair few shows. So yeah, it's going to be a good fight, and there's going to be a lot to it, and yeah, it's going to be very very exciting, and hopefully it'll be one for the fans. Um, I know Aness wants he's already said online that he wants to knock me out within the first or second round. Um,
Because he's
so
seen Hamilton and Bomber do it, so he sort of wants to make a statement as well.
yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think he'd have the power of Hamilton, and I'll be a lot fitter than I was for Bomber. So if he does it, fair play to him. But he'd have to be pretty on form to do it, and you have to catch him pretty well.
Makes for a good fight, this.
Exactly. I have no doubt that I'm going to be written off in this fight completely. I'm going to be the massive underdog. If you're going to put odds on it, you'll probably say like 1 to 10 on me winning. A lot of people will. But this is what I live for. This is what makes
You're
me
underdog in most of your fights, and
absolutely.
but you
And
do you like being the underdog sort of thing, or
yeah. This is
because
the
there's
whole thing.
no the pressure's mainly on them, isn't it? Would you say?
Yeah. This it's theirs to lose and mine to win. That's the
Yeah,
thing.
you've got everything to sort of gain.
Exactly. And if I go in there, I'm fighting a well-known name. It's going to be a good. I'm
Boxed
probably
on
a little bit.
Sky a few times, and he's got a few big knockouts as well. As I saw him, I mean, he's been putting stuff on. He put something on Instagram saying, catching things you can catch, and he said these hands and showed a few highlights of some of his knockouts that he's got. So
Yeah. I need to reply to that in a video, don't I? So, but yeah, we'll we'll reply to that. And but this is the thing. He's well known. He's well respected. Um, he's had some tough fights. We've got the element of you know that we both relatively well known in the boxing world as well. Obviously, not me, not so much for fighting on big, well, on fighting big, you know, headlines as such. But I fought on some good cards, and people know my
yeah.
story. So people are going to be interested in this fight, and people are going to be wanting to know what happens. And so, and this is what you get. This is what kind of this is boxing. It's entertainment at the end of the day. People are probably going to be thinking, "Oh, is Tobie going to last more than 2 rounds this fight?" But people might be thinking, "Actually, you know what? Like Tobie's got a good chin.
Do
He
you,
can
do you
move."
think people question your gas tank or your chin, as you've been stopped 2 times in a row? Do you think people might look at that and look into, the sort of your record and
I think if they question my gas tank, I think they've got a bit of an issue because if you ask anyone that's sparred me when I'm fit and I'm ready to fight, or ask anyone that's been in the gym with me, I'm an absolute dog. Like I'm a dog in the gym. Um, you won't find anyone that will work harder than me in the gym or be fitter than me in the gym. Um, so if they question the gas tank, then ooh, that's going to be fun. If he thinks he's gonna be fitter than me, he's got another thing coming. Questioning the chin, ask my amateur opponents, ask them, say, has Tobie got a good chin? And a lot of them be like, yes. So, the only person that's hurt me in the pros is Will with that one shot. And he put me down and buckled me like a baby giraffe. And that's the, that was a big lesson I learned. So there'd be a lot of questions asked of me. There'd probably be some questions asked of Aness, like,
Mm.
he's coming off a loss against a journeyman. Um,
I thought
like
he won that fight. I'm not sure if you've seen it, but
I've watched it, and I think I think the result was unfair, but I can see where the results come from.
because he sort of looked like he was trying to box, but normally he's a bit,
Yeah,
he walks forward. I thought he tried to box that fight, and I think his style's more of a sort of brawler sort of thing. But
yeah.
live and learn. Again, I thought he won that fight, but um,
He got caught with a lot of clean shots. If you watch it back, he was throwing some big heavy shots and catching the gloves, and he was getting caught with clean shots. And I think that's where the result came from.
do you
I
see
think
some weaknesses watching that fight, or?
I've made some notes. Let's just say that I've made some notes, but again, that's a hard fight to judge by. I'd prefer to judge him by the when he's been in with good lads.
I mean, he
Um,
rocked Vidal Riley actually. He
yeah,
clipped him quite a few times and actually had Vidal hurt as well. And he's got a few good wins over a few lads. Somebody was 7-1 and like somebody had like an undefeated record. So he's got a few good wins as well on him. So it's gonna be a very tough fight for you and Denise. So it makes
yeah,
for a brilliant fight, and I think the fans who are going to be there uh, are going to be in for a bit of a treat. Let's just say that.
yeah, exactly, and that's what it's all about. You know, for me, as long as we put on a good performance, both me and Anise, we both put our hearts out there, and we both put it in and put ourselves out there. But then the fans are happy. We make a good show of ourselves. The best man wins, and then we both go safe home to our families.
That's
That is
amazing.
to me. That's to me to result,
Yeah.
and we go down in history. We fight each other. We have what may be down on paper as a 50-50 because I'm coming there to fight. But again, as I said, I'm going in as a big underdog. People were probably thinking I'm absolutely nuts taking a fight with him after what's happened over the last few fights.
Mm.
But from the end of the day, this what
You
am I going
just
to
want to
achieve?
fight the best, and that's what fans will respect you for. Real boxing fans, they might look in your record and say, "Oh, you've lost um, most of them." But you know what I mean. You look. There's no point padding these records up. You fight the best to
No,
be the best, and that's your mentality. At the end of the day, you might end your career with a losing record, but as long as the main thing is that you want to say is, "I fought everyone who got offered to me, who came across, and I've only fought the best. No
exactly,
matter
mate.
what the record is at
That,
the end of
that
when you decide to hang it up. You know what I mean?
that's exactly it. And I think people get having more respect for that now in the boxing world. Whereas back in the day,
People
you get
used to protect that but
yeah,
nowadays you see these prospects, in their third, their fourth, their fifth, their sixth fight, putting it on the line with another prospect. They lose, you go back to the drawing board and the promoter gets behind that person, even if they lose, because they respect them for,
yeah.
putting, it's on the line.
But this is the whole
And
thing. If
that's why people like you keep getting these opportunities because they know that you're game to fight and you're willing to take these tough fights on.
exactly, and don't get me wrong, like I've been offered some tougher fights than Bomber Brown in that. But unfortunately, at the time, it was because I was nursing some injuries. So
Mm.
it's
And
but
I'm sure you those phone calls will keep flying in,
oh,
win, lose, draw in this fight, and I'm sure they'll keep flooding in and
I'll be
how
honest, mate.
active do you want to be this year? Like, how many more fights are you trying to have? Of course, you've had the two. You've got maybe one penciled in June, July, and this and East one. So you've got hopefully, these two. And I don't know what your sort of goals are in the sport, but yeah, how are you trying to stay as active as you can this year and just see, where you
Yeah.
go or.
Well, when the phone rings and when we fancy it and we're fit and ready, we take it. And that's the show's right, everything's right. Me and Richard agree with it. Then we take it. Then that's kind of the way it is. We don't. We're not trying to. protect anything. We're not trying to, apart from myself, we're not trying to protect a record, and we're not trying to protect an ego. But this is the whole thing. Like, this sort of mentality is now becoming more popular, and I think a lot of it is down to the fact that people are probably more interested in misfits because there are 50-50 fights on there, aren't they? Although it's not the
I
case,
mean, in my
but
opinion, they're dreadful to watch. I mean, a few of
yeah,
them is just head
but
in
but this is but
hands.
they're awful, but you don't know who's going to win, do you? This is the whole thing. Like,
Only because they're unexperienced and just they.
exactly. But that's the element of surprise and the element of,
I mean,
you
some
know,
of these
when,
tag team matches have got to go. Just put it that way.
oh, well, me and Kane Baker need to get on a tag team
Oh
fight,
yeah,
and
you and
yeah,
Kane definitely need.
we've spoke about that, and funny
You
enough,
two need to
we,
be in that tag team match. Let's go.
yeah. Well, saying that though, this is Kane's a prime example of what I do, but probably to
Yeah,
a
yeah,
bigger,
because he
bigger,
he
big,
fights anyone and anyone. Of course, he's got
yeah,
his.
but
I think it's his final fight in June. But look
yeah,
at his resume, and
yeah, and pretty much, and how many times has he fought on matchroom shows, and everyone kicks off and goes, "Why does Kane get the opportunities and not me?" It's because Kane fights. He fights on these big shows, and people probably say the same about me. Like, why is he getting the publicity, and why is he on a top tier show and not me? It's like, because I'm not, because Johnny Clark messaged me via Instagram, right, and said, "Will Hamilton fancy it?" I'm like, "On your show, go on then." That's kind of it. And then his last show, he's like, "Oh, I've got a space. Do you fancy it?" I'm like, "Yeah, go on then." Unfortunately, it fell through. The other opponent had another fight, and it was kind of like he couldn't fight me before that.
who
But
was that meant to be, or can you not say?
I can't say.
Oh,
But
okay.
yeah, this is the whole thing. Like, my phone's there, and people want to work with me because I'm willing to take the fights, and not just that, they mate. Like, I've got a bit of a social media following. People like me. People know I'm entertaining. People know I'll go in there, I'll give it a go. But also as well, I'm just a fat kid that's living his dream. That's all I am, mate. I'm a fat kid that's living his dream and enjoying every moment and willing to fight people that are potentially going to be world champions, like Will Hamilton, for example. I've gone in there, he sparked me out, but in 5 years' time, when he's fighting for a world title,
You'll
I can
be
sit
you'll
there.
be and you'll be telling people, oh, I fought this person, and
Exactly, and that's exactly what it's about, mate. That's exactly what it's about. People like that, and people are saying to me, like, when I go back to my local town, like, "Oh, you're fighting Aness Taj. He's I've seen him before on Sky." I was like, "Yeah, I know you are, and I'm having a tear up with him." And people love that. So again, this is what it's about. It's not about. I don't want to fight. I don't want to be, because every fight. It doesn't matter if you're fighting prospects. So if you're a prospect fighting journeymen that have had 200 fights, that could be your last fight.
mm,
Would you really want to end your fight on fighting in a community hall in front of 100 people, and to have to tell everyone that was your boxing career? Or if, God forbid, my last fight's fighting in East Taj
mm,
as a co-main event, Battle of the Celts, going in there, having an absolute war. Like, that to me seems more fitting rather than kind of wasting it, if you get what I mean. Wasting the fact that I'm going to be trading my arse off, wasting the fact that I'm going to be throwing money into a camp. I'm going to be,
mm.
my missus isn't going to see me for a while, because I'm going to be just training, training, training. My little daughter, I'm going to miss her. I'm basically just going to get glances or photos that get sent to me by my missus. These are the sacrifices I make. So I don't want to make it for something which isn't worthwhile. I want to make it for something which I can sit back in 20 years' time and enjoy and think, I done that. That
Yeah,
was mint. And this is what I've done with my last few fights. And
exactly.
this is what I'm going to do in the future.
Yes, exactly that, Toby. And before I let you go, mate, do you want to thank the people who are, helping you on your journey, whether that's managers, trainers, your friends, your family, who come and support, just anyone at all, mate.
Yeah, so a big thank you to my manager, Richard, and Claudia. They've looked after me a lot over the last few years. Had a few switches of trainers, and they've always stood firm. Massive thank you to the unsung hero, my lovely lady in my life, Maddie. I don't hire a nutritionist. She does it all for me. I've got a bit of a complex diet, so because there's a few things I can't eat, so she makes sure that I'm on point with that throughout the whole of my camp, as well as running the household and stuff and making sure I'm all well.
Mhm.
Massive thank you to my sponsors. Again, I've had a lot of help with sponsorship over the years through the amateurs and into the pros. And just thank you for everyone that supported me in the journey all the way from the start to now, and then however far we go. And obviously, thank you, mate, for having me on as well. Appreciate it.
Oh, anytime, mate. And yeah, you're more than welcome to come on anytime. And yeah, from me, thank you for your time and just good luck with the fight with Aness. And if any other fight, comes along beforehand, good luck with that as well.
Cheers, mate. Thank you, buddy.
Thank you, mate. Bye.